Welcome back to another episode of After Office Hours. I'm Scooter. Join with me again, per usual, is Jake and Noobsie, or Jmal and Noobsie. I don't know why I always revert right to your real name instead of.
Most people do.
You still use my real name.
You know what's
Michael.
really awkward? I don't use your name, and it's really awkward when we're in meetings with like new sponsors and stuff. And if I'm bringing up you two for whatever reason, like I brought up the podcast to a sponsor, and I was like, yeah, with it's gonna be myself, Jake, and then I go to say Noobsie, and I was like, fuck, that doesn't sound professional at all. And I was like, and Michael, and I was like, dude, that's weird. I never say that.
Michael Paul Revere.
All right, but yeah. Yeah, not a whole lot of updates this week. I think the past 2 weeks have been pretty dry, obviously. Oh yeah, I guess I should probably touch on last week. No podcast. We just all kind of had shit on, so you know sometimes we gotta bounce the podcast away for a week.
Somebody shit on you, dude. What?
I don't know what you had going on, but
Yeah, man.
Hey, what we do in our business time is our business.
It is after office hours.
Exactly. But yeah, so yeah, no episode last week. And then I think this week, and then I think next week is the live episode. I think we got to figure a few things out for that.
We gonna have to figure it out because
yeah,
you gonna come in live from me on the beach, dude. Because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be at that.
that's the
episode.
big thing we got to figure out. Because we don't
do
know
one
if
for
we're gonna
that
have
one.
to push the
We'll call back.
live. Yeah, maybe it'll be recorded, maybe it won't be live. We'll see. We'll find out. But oh man, speaking of esports teams, you guys seen Coca-Cola getting their groove on in esports?
I'm loving it.
Sir.
I'm loving it. I know
I'm a
that's
Pepsi
McDonald's.
guy, but
Dude, gross.
I'm just kidding.
Get him
I'm
out of here,
joking.
dude.
A
Dude.
crisp McDonald's Coke.
Dollar drink days in the
Pristine.
summer.
What?
They're
Perfect.
$1 every day in America.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, weird
fucking
flex, dude.
Fucking poor ass
Any
country,
size-
dude.
Any size $1.
Yeah,
Wait,
dude.
really?
You can get a,
Every day?
Yeah.
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 Damn, we're getting scammed up here in Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
We have an economy here.
Yeah, we don't run on beaver tails and igloo blocks.
We're
But
like
no.
the place in Boardwalk, and Canada's like
The brown.
Baltic and Mediterranean.
But no, I've been super impressed with that because, you know, Coca-Cola, when they made their exit from Overwatch League, I kind of thought that might be one of the things that rubbed them wrong, and they kind of just disappeared from esports. I know they still have their hand in a couple of pockets, but I kind of thought that was maybe them, you know, they tried it, was pretty fail, and then they'll just stay where they are. But, you know, what was it? Charlotte, Phoenix, and Guild?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, both signed with Coke this week, and not in a event-based, you know, environment. It's purely team sponsorship. I think that's huge. I think it shows Coke is getting more. I think they've got a better understanding of esports and where they want to put their money. They know for them, events don't make sense, or at least big events don't make sense. And going for the team sponsorships makes a lot more sense. And I think they're going to get a lot more publicity that way. Especially, I mean, Overwatch gave them a lot of bad publicity. I mean, it's fair to say that, but
I think just they're very strategic about what they're going for. I mean, Guild is known for their academies, and CLT is partnered with Spin, so they're helping students get, you know, college varsity opportunities. So I think it makes sense because, you know, they're very focused on the development side. So it feels like from Coke, they really took their time to dive in and see, like, okay, let's just not throw our money at something. Let's really see like how we can maximize the sponsorship opportunity.
yeah. And you know they definitely spent a pretty penny on Overwatch League for sure.
100%.
They
Everyone
definitely
did.
didn't make money there. Like,
Yeah,
none of
everyone
them did.
spent a bunch of money and lost it all, or
Yeah.
most of it.
And I mean, you guys want to touch on that any further, or was that kind of just a quick one? 'Cause I don't think there's much to say about that bar. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's too soon to tell.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's about it.
I think we'll see a couple more. I think we'll see maybe one more like guild, Charlotte Phoenix sized esports org come in, and then I think we'll see Coke drop a really big one, but only one. I think they're gonna drop
Yep.
like a really big, like an optic size sponsor.
Like a G2 optic, something huge.
Yeah. So I think we'll see that, and then I think that's it. Like I think they'll chill out for a little bit, see how a year in esports goes, and then see if they want to continue. You know what they want to change, who they want to change, and if it's a fail or not. But speaking of fails on the business side of esports, good old FaZe Clan. I mean,
That was terrible.
He's down.
Let me take a gander at what they're
What are they sitting at?
they rebounded at all.
no, not at all. It was so when they went IPO or when they went live, chart showing that it went live at about $12, 12.50, and then it tanked. It tanked bad.
Down.
It's all the way down to $9.58. I mean, it's
Okay.
down.
Yeah,
It's down quite a large margin.
And I think this has probably caught FaZe off quite a bit. And even if they expected after a couple of months for it to return to this sort of state, I think they probably had expected a bit of a spike to begin with instead of a downfall. Like,
Well,
That's a plop.
and most IPO offerings kind of plop the first day because it's all the bag holders that are like, man, I've been holding FaZe or I've been holding this stock before, because it wasn't like a new stock, it was a ticker change. Another company
right.
is what owned it. So if you knew about it and bought beforehand, you could just kind of sell right away. And a lot of people did that, tanked the stock. So it happens. But I don't really see anything worth investing into FaZe anyway. I don't think, in my opinion, I just think it all was just kind of like a check mark of we're public. I don't think there was
Yeah.
anything to run behind it. Like, yeah, cool, it's public, people own it, but now like you're not going to get to make the decisions anymore. The public gets to vote. With the public, you get owning shares, you get a percentage vote or whatever. You know, it's like I don't think they realized.
So it's funny you bring that up because I actually wanted to touch on that. And I'm curious. So obviously, like you said, there's probably not much gonna happen with it. But I'm curious if that was the play. And I'm curious if now this will be like a 5-head play. But like you said, so obviously it goes to the public now. It goes to the holders. And you know, if there's a majority holder, then they're gonna have a lot of power in what happens. Do you think that the FaZe is trying to get a big holder, aka somebody in esports, maybe even a celebrity that likes esports that's going to invest purely to have a hold, and then it's like, hey, now we have X as an investor, X celebrity or whatever, or X Mr. Moneybags, and then they can bring him on as like a, hey, he was interested in FaZe already, so now we know who's interested, let's bring him on as a full-time investor and get him more involved, but also let him keep his stocks.
That would, again, I don't know if you've looked at any of the FaZe Clan members, but they don't strike me as the type of people that would think that far ahead. Just listening to how they talk, I don't see any longevity in investing publicly on a team like FaZe that, yes, they have teams, but that's not what they do anymore. Like, they have teams here and there. They have a Rocket League team. They have, Atlanta FaZe, and they're good teams, but they are a content and branding machine. They brand with everything. They pump merchandise. They pump out content. They do all of that. So it's no longer focused about team like how you can tell Optic is. Optic's very focused on teams, whereas FaZe Clan is just pumping out as much money as they possibly can come up with.
Yeah, and so I know we touched on this in the first episode of the podcast, and we were kind of all curious, and I think we're all pretty correct about how it went. But the one big fail that we all didn't see coming and we all kind of chatted about privately was the fact that Nick Merckx wasn't there and FaZe Banks wasn't there. Two of the biggest people of FaZe, two of the most public viewed people of FaZe, and they weren't there. And don't get me wrong, I don't blame them either, because the thing is, behind closed doors, we don't know shit. So whether they weren't behind the move, maybe, maybe even it came down to it wasn't FaZe Banks that didn't want to do this or something.
Yeah.
And there's all those ifs, ands, or buts behind the scene. But I don't know. It's a little strange because obviously it looks really good if they're there. Even if it was a shit ton of money to fly them out or whatever. I don't know. It's just weird them not being there.
Yeah, it looked a little odd.
FaZe Banks especially. Nick Merckx, with the Apex
FaZe Banks
stuff,
is
but
the face of FaZe.
Yeah.
It has been since its
Since it started, yeah, pretty much.
But
I mean,
yeah.
minus a year and a half there when we don't have to go into
Oh,
detail
yeah.
about why he.
When he went off the rails.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, speaking of org failures as well, I want to touch on something that's been it's been very local to us in R6. Bit of a fail, bit of a pro for some people, bit of a con for others. Dark Zero, they've came out recently and announced that they are rehiring, and that's correct, rehiring Deadbird, their graphic or creator, designer, whatever they're calling them, who previously had done all their skins for in-game for R6 and does a lot of their art as well. But he was also found out to be tracing and, infringing the rights on other people's art, copyright, just purely literally tracing over art to create his own pieces. Obviously when this came public, it outraged all the social media. He did lose his job. But the thing a lot of the community didn't realize was he was still working for these other orgs. I know there's a big post on social media showing the skins he has worked on. And I just want to kind of throw the question to you guys what do you think? Do you think this is a good move by DZ? Do you think, obviously second chances are a thing? Where your guys' heads at?
I mean, I don't see a reason to bring him back personally. Like, what do they benefit? Like,
yeah, it's just gonna.
There's too many graphic designers that can do what he can do. Like, I could do tracing, but why not go for someone maybe a little more new that's got a really nice creative head on his shoulders,
Or her.
or her.
Don't be
Their
misogynist.
shoulders. My apologies. But
We don't do that here.
Why go back for somebody who's gotten in trouble for tracing? But then on top of that, I do want to say that whole mask thing drove me insane because I don't think that was tracing. Oxygen does not have a patent for masks.
Okay, I don't tweet about any of this stuff because mainly I like talking about it on podcasts and stuff and on proper discussions.
Twitter is its own echo chamber.
Yeah.
You don't put opinions on Twitter.
Exactly. Yeah. So I want to throw this opinion up there so badly though, because a lot of the high ups in Oxygen or Boston Breach, if you know them by that, said that on Twitter and said this is blatantly copy. This is our mask and stuff. And I gotta say, if it wasn't what it was, I could maybe be like, oh, okay, yeah, I see it. But it's a mask with X's for the eyes. You know when Boston Breach announced that was their logo, you know what I thought? Oh, that's G2. They're copying G2. So
the thing is the Deadbird's personal logo for his own brand has been a cropped out two X's for eyes and then a little triangle pyramid thing for the mouth. It's literally the branding he's been using. So
and that's not even a new design. There's masks that have been made like that.
I think you guys were in the chat where I put this, but I was like, oh well, he copied Boston Breach, but Boston Breach copied the movie series Purge with the neon masks. You can go back and everybody gets inspiration from different pieces of art. It's very rare that there's an original
everything's been
art.
done.
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest thing is, right, I think if you're going to be in a leadership position for an org and you're going to try and put somebody on blast, you got to self-reflect a little first, because when Boston Breach came out and showed their branding for that, I instantly thought of G2. And sure, do I think they copied G2? No. But if you're going to purely go off the fact that it's like a mask with X's for eyes, I instantly thought of G2. So I could go out there and say they're G2. They're copying G2.
They got to pick their battles, because it's like something like that is so kind of vague could be taken completely differently than, like, I would understand if it's like a legit art piece that someone did for like a skin and you see a copy with a lot of, or even some of an art piece with different assets from something you've seen before that's like, oh, that's copied. But a mask with
I'm putting the
X's for eyes.
Rocket League car.
Hey.
But I mean, so my take on the whether he should have been given a second chance or not, I think no, only because he had the chance, he was in a really good position, and he got caught. He then continued to deny these accusations and eventually was fully caught and let go of his position. In that point, especially as a creative designer and an artist, you've lost all credibility to whether your shit's legit or not. And I'm sure he knows that. And he knows that this was going to be, you know, a backlash on Twitter when it was announced. I think the biggest problem is DZ. I think DZ should not have taken a second chance. DZ should have found somebody else. Like Jake said, there's a lot of great artists out there, a lot of good creative designers, even creative directors that could have led you in the right position. Do I think Deadbird deserved another chance in esports? Yes. With DZ? No, not a chance. And I think it's a really weird decision from DZ. And, you know, I saw the post. I hate to use this as an example, but you know how DZ was for game days, we're doing the cool space pictures and stuff?
Yep.
So they had a really cool art. I completely forget the name, but a really cool artist who was doing those. And that's a prime example of somebody they could have gone with. Somebody that put a lot of work into it. And they made a Twitter post about the fact that they were, you know, DZ was very pushy on the price. And DZ, you know, DZ was a little, it sounds like they were a little hard to work with. So that's a big like question mark for me. And secondly, it's like, it's kind of a fuck you to all these other artists when they're doing really good work, stuff that worked really well with the community. Because can you imagine if DZ gets another skin and that space Leviathan thing gets put on a gun? You know how many people would buy that because it was popular on social media?
So sick.
And it's like
it's such a cool design.
Yeah, and it's a fuck you. Like this guy who cheated and, you know, cheated off other artists is getting the second chance with the exact same org, even though other people are already putting in hard work for that org. He's just coming back. And I mean, I get it. Like, people do deserve second chances. I just don't think it was with DZ. That's my take.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I went with it. Like, what did they gain from bringing him back?
Friendship, probably. It's probably about who knows who. I can almost guarantee you it's a, I hate to use this word, but it is probably so true. It's probably favoritism. There's probably friendships behind the scenes that was like, oh, I think it's been long enough. You can come back. Like,
what would you do if DZ used the Space Leviathan design on a weapon in the future?
I think it's fine. I mean, depends how they use it. Like, if Deadbird just copies it, then then like that's bad.
If they basically just nab the work that other guy was doing.
I mean,
you know, they change a couple little.
Well, okay. Well, here's the problem though. If they just use the original picture and they form it to a gun, that's fine, because they did pay for the intellectual property rights of that.
That's fair.
So they can do it, and they've paid the artist for the work. That's fine. So it is now officially theirs. But I will say, if like Deadbird does his own take of it, and for a gun skin, that's well, one, that's just fucking weird, because come up with your own design. But two, that's unfair for the artist that originally made it. Yes, they got paid for it, and I know I just said like obviously they have intellectual property on it, but give them the opportunity to make the skin considering they made the art. So I don't know, but I mean it would be scummy, but I mean they could do it. It just depends how they do it. But I don't know, very weird things in the R6 community. I'm surprised how much traction the negativity side got, because obviously we've all seen in the past that the R6 scene kind of seems to forgive and forget pretty quick. There's a lot of things that happen
100%.
that just get swept under the rug after a couple of months. So yeah, I'm really surprised, and I don't know. But speaking of failed esports stuff, I think we're just going fail from fail here, to be honest.
Dude, it's been a week of fails a little bit.
Yeah. Gamers 8. I know you guys want to touch on this again. I'm just gonna send it right to you because it is indeed Rocket League.
Go ahead,
Well,
Jake.
I don't want to
Miss
say
you.
it's failed entirely. I mean, it's the first time that the Saudi E-League has stepped in to try and go abroad outside of their own little niche community within their region. Yes, they need to market it better. Like the numbers that they did for that should not be what they were for how big of a tournament it was.
Not for the
But-
event.
Yeah, I think anybody in the Rocket League community in any way heard about it, saw something about it at least. But to the casual eye, that was a fail in that sense. But I mean, it's clear. I think it's clear that they're going to do future events like that. I think the people that did go, they spoke very highly of their stay there and how they were treated. So I could definitely see it coming back. They just need to get those numbers up
Yeah,
like wildly.
it's funny because you touched on the casual fan. I guess that is technically the category I fall under. And I didn't hear, the only thing I heard about it, and look, I don't usually go out of my way, so I'm probably like less than casual, but I don't normally go out of my way to watch Rocket League, but I'll see things, I'll see events on Twitch and stuff, or even Liquipedia when I'm browsing around on there. The only thing I saw about this event was purely Twitter and people clowning on the fact that nobody knew it was happening or when it was happening and how it was marketed. That's the only thing I saw. So yeah, that's technically its own marketing, but they didn't plan that.
Yeah, no,
and most of it was post-event.
And another thing, like it was ESL who ran the event, and they're one of the biggest tournament organizers in the world. Like you'd think that they'd do a little bit better of a job.
The first time I heard about the event was when we talked when we were prepping stuff for the second episode,
Yeah,
and we
I think
talked
so.
about Moist saying they're not going. That was the first time I heard about it. Was seeing it. I was like, Moist is not going to an event. What event? And then of course with us being so involved with Rocket League, we were like, how did we not know about this? Like we heard all these teams got invited all of a sudden, and then Moist doesn't want to go, and then this event's in Saudi Arabia. Oh, cool. So I watched a little bit of it, and the games were amazing. I mean, that was the first time we had an international champion from not NA or EU. So there's a lot of good Rocket League to watch. It's just no one really knew about it.
Do you think I get an interesting take, and I don't think it does as much because it's kind of like if the teams just didn't qualify in the first place. Do you think it diminishes? Who won again? I saw it on Twitter, but
Furia.
Furia. Do you think it diminishes?
Let's go Furia.
Do you think it diminishes Furia's win though, because of the controversy?
No, because
Not at all.
because you got teams like Complexity, Space Station, FaZe Clan, Falcons, Dignitas, G2. Like you got huge names at this event. So the fact that Furia won doesn't throw any shade to any of them. G2 was having a partial roster. JNaps, I don't think he was able to go. Something to do with his paperwork. He's Canadian, so they subbed in Mist from Optic. But still, doesn't change the fact that there was huge teams here.
Yeah, I just want to clarify quick. Obviously, no diss from me either. I didn't even watch it. Just curiosity killed the cat there. But no, that's good to hear though The fact that
And
it was still
that's
a
the-
competitive
Are
event.
are Canadians not allowed to go to Saudi Arabia?
I think it could have just been someone with his visa. I
It
think
could have been
or-
anything
okay.
with whether visa or I know in Canada we like if you've got any sort of criminal record, it can affect you even if it's a tiny thing. So
we found out one team can't go.
who's that?
That was Tokyo Verde. They can't go
Oh
at
no.
all. No, because Sig is in the
Oh,
armed
yeah.
forces. Sig is in the military, so they won't let.
He's
in-
U.S. Armed Forces.
Yep. So
Oh,
they
so
won't let him go to Saudi Arabia.
wow. Politics.
Kind of just saw this. Jake, did you know all mid went to the
Yeah.
event?
Yeah, no,
How
I
the-
remember that. I've made it clear. I think it was the first episode. I was cheered.
How do
for
they
the
qualify?
underdogs.
How do they qualify for
They
that?
won the open qualifier. They beat our LCS teams and made it in. They I
And
can't,
see, that's
off the
the
top
thing
of my
is,
head, I can't remember who, but it was Rogue, Oxygen, and someone else that they beat to.
like I'm
get
looking.
them through
Okay, I'm looking
qualifiers.
at these qualifiers. These happened in May. Never heard about them. Never
Yeah,
heard
no,
about.
I remember I put something in the staff Discord. I was like,
Yeah,
did you guys know about this?
like no one.
The thing is like there were teams that missed qualifiers. Like they didn't know.
Yeah, they. I mean,
See, that's when you know it was a real problem, actually. I just want to
Yeah.
clarify that. If teams are missing because of like lack of information, that's
Well,
that's
did
a
you
fail.
hear about the issues at the border with COVID vaccinations?
Oh, were players not vaccinated or
Well, they had like different ruling because all of them, like most of them, I should say, were just at the London major. So like,
Right.
Yeah.
they were traveling, so they had to have certain vaccinations for that. There was somebody that had one that was more than 8 months ago, which was okay for them to go to London, but they weren't allowed to go into Saudi Arabia.
oh,
And it
okay.
ended up more people were unable to get in, and they eventually got them in under certain stuff with the Saudi U League, like figuring a way to get them in. But like they were just held up at the airport, and they were tweeting out at ESL like, "Hey, like what's going on? Like why can't we get it? Why weren't we made aware of this?" And
Yeah.
they're like, could you please like keep this within like the Discord? Like there's a channel for this." And they're like, "Dude, we've been messaging in that Discord for like 2 hours now, and you haven't responded." And it was
Yeah.
literally like the guy that was supposed to be figuring that stuff out.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because I know depending on country, well, per country, some have accepted vaccines as well. So a certain list of vaccines are, green light, they're good. Other countries, if you don't have one of these 3 or one of these 4, nope. So it's super weird, and I know even some countries are like, if you don't have 2 of the same, you're not getting in. Like, I don't know. It's a huge confusing mess. But going to another fail, and also speaking of huge confusing messes, we're gonna talk about Halo. I know we talked about it last week. Yeah, well, I think it was it was last week.
the last episode. Yeah.
So obviously last week I touched on the fact that teams were getting declined from the Halo partnership program, and obviously I touched heavily on KCP, which again, no diss, but still.
Man went in.
But I've seen. I actually didn't write down who it was, so that's a bit of a fail for me.
Just failures.
That'll be
Good.
our next topic. Scooters fails.
Scooters
Yeah,
fails.
Scooters fails. No, so that's it. Actually, I did pull it up quick, and I'll just want to clarify. Awkward pause.
This
Alright.
is a mess, dude.
Nope, never a mess. We just
Get
keep
me,
going.
Get me out of here, dude.
Okay,
Get me out of
found
here.
it.
this point here.
All right, I
Get
found
me
it. No,
out of
no,
here,
no,
bro.
no, 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 no. I found it. So yeah, but speaking of the Halo partnership program, we saw the KCP stuff. A couple other orgs announced that they were also declined, so they were leaving Halo and fully leaving Halo at that. And I think today or yesterday, Xset have also officially announced they were also declined from the partner program. And I don't know how to feel about this. I think it's going to be interesting to see the list of teams that did get in. I'm now certain, like obviously Optic, FaZe, all the big names but I think Halo might be doing the wrong thing here.
Yeah, they're trying to make it exclusive, and I think there needs to be, obviously do your, you know, your approved teams, but there needs to be a qualifier. There needs to be some sort of qualifier to get these other teams in. But
Gatekeeping.
pay,
Even a
yeah,
tier. Like,
it's gatekeeping because it's like I think they already shot themselves in the foot with the game itself because if it were to come on, there's not really. I mean, we played it for. I mean, Scooter, you and me played it for days in a row
yeah.
because the game was
with
fun.
Oddball.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, with Oddball. Oh, dude,
I will hunker down with that ball while you
the
guys
game
get
is
kills.
fun. I never played it that much growing up, so I was all for it. And if they would have went right in and just started doing open qualifiers and this and that, I probably would have watched and stayed. But then you didn't hear anything. No new stuff came out for the game. Updates started breaking the game. They tried fixing it. Still more stuff didn't come out.
And
Then they're
racist
denying
updates.
some of the teams. Oh yeah, that one was terrible. Oh,
Yikes.
that was a fail on them.
It seemed so promising at the start because how they opened everything up with there being an esports shop. Like, oh, we have these teams partnered, ready to go on launch. Like, it seemed like they had some sort of plan in place to like get it going early. Because it was a very highly anticipated game. Like, it's Halo. It's a staple
PC
franchise
Halo.
of
That.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, it's a staple of gaming.
I mean, I think they just screwed it up. They kind of shot themselves in the foot with the whole game because now no one cares about it. No, it's too late now.
yeah.
You can't offer exclusivity when what you're offering isn't exclusive. No one cares.
You know, the biggest pain point too is, right, like, even once all the partner teams are announced and, you know, we find out it's the ones we probably expected, I think the tough part is, even if there is a challenger league or any form of sorts of organized tier 2, all these orgs that are left are gone for good. The only way they come back is if they get another chance at applying for this partner program. Because why would they go from having a tier 1 team to having a tier 2 team? Like, none of them are going to make them. No, and the thing is, right, all these teams that they dropped, even if they kept them, they're not going to pay them the same. They're not going to say, well, hey, you're tier 2 now because we're not in the partner program. Let's give you the same amount of money. No, of course not. I mean, one, it's not a smart decision from an org to pay if they're not, like, pay the same as a tier 1 team, even though they're not tier 1. But all these orgs have left and they're gone for good. So 343 better have a fucking master plan laid out. And obviously we've not applied for, we don't have a Halo team, so we don't get to see some of the behind the scenes. But it's obviously bad enough that these orgs like XSET, KCP, and all the other big names that have left realize that it's scuffed, like fully scuffed. I don't know. Anything you guys want to add? Because we got another franchise to talk about.
No, I just think they're. I don't know. I think no one's gonna care. I mean, it's not exclusive anymore. I don't think anybody's gonna care. Yeah. All right. So, what's the next thing you got? What's the next franchising thing we got?
Speaking of franchise / partner programs, because I know there's been some debate about that on Twitter. Valorant obviously is another one where we're seeing a lot of teams get declined and a lot of big orgs dropping out. Some big names that have been declined officially, or to our knowledge, have been Complexity got declined. Who else? Do you guys know of any others?
I haven't seen any. I haven't seen anything. So I'm
trying
to remember. So I know Complexity got declined. Hang on, I have the article right here. All right, let's see. So yeah, sources say that, and this is from George Getz, who has been the main guy on Twitter, and he also works for Esports. That's where I've been reading all this stuff. So yeah, sources say Sentinels, TSM, Cloud9, The Guard, XSET, Gen G, and Version 1 are all the teams that have currently made it to stage 2. There might be more.
That
But
sounds about right. I mean, Sentinels, of course. Cloud9, duh. Version 1 is a lower level org, but they are all in on Valorant. Like their Valorant support is huge. Xset makes sense. Gen G, isn't their org from a different country? No.
I think they're a bit of
They,
a
they,
weird one. I think they started in
they're
Canada,
all over. They're all over though,
but
aren't
then
they?
yeah, I think they're a really weird origin because I'm
And
pretty sure they started as a
TSM.
Canadian.
Don't know too much about the guard. I haven't seen them. Probably people are probably gonna flame me because watch them be like a #1 org. But
They are in
I've
Valorant. They've
never,
definitely made a name for themselves in
yeah,
Valorant.
I ain't never heard of them. I don't like Valorant. The spray sucks.
uh, Jake,
The
you're muted.
bloom. Yeah, Jake, shut up.
But no, we have seen like Complexity and Shopify Rebellion both being declined so far. So I think that is the confusing part, that it's like they haven't quite hit Halo levels, but they're hitting like a lot of these big orgs have been declined, and a lot of these big orgs have dropped their Valorant, departments. And I don't know. I mean, I think it might be a little quick to jump the gun dropping these orgs or dropping these teams, but this also could just be a play where some of these big orgs are dropping teams and they know they're going to buy themselves back in eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, yeah, Jake, what were you going to say while you're muted?
I was just gonna say Noobsie's a hater because he plays Valorant like it's Call of Duty. This dude's trying to like slide cancel and spray someone around the corner, which you can do in Neon now, by the way. You'd be great with Neon.
Neon,
Yeah.
bro.
He's not a tactical FPS guy.
No, nothing tactical going on here. I think on the fly. I can't move slow and bump fire and play my use my little fairy powers. I'm just
Which
kidding.
is crazy because like you say you got to go fast, but you're the slowest Rocket League player I know.
I'm talking about when it comes to shooters.
Okay, so
That's why I like Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's fair.
here's
Segue.
the full. No, sorry, not quite segue yet.
I'm just kidding.
This is the article I was looking for. Complexity and Built by Gamers are the two that got declined, or at least it's been announced today. So both of those orgs have been declined, and the ones that I said earlier are the ones that are supposedly into round 2. Now, if there's a multiple round process, it's going to be if that list of teams are the teams that we know are in round 2, and we know at least maybe like 2 of them are gone, it is going to be a riot on Twitter, no pun intended. But
I just don't know why, if this is the partner program, what are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to have a 10-team franchise league? Like,
well, see,
what
that's
is
the confusing part.
Because if you need 12 teams, just open up the bidding. You got what, 8 of them right here.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's the confusing part. Like, I really gotta see. Like, obviously, we as like public eyes need to wait and see. But what difference is it gonna make being a partner or not? Is it gonna be like because obviously that's been the big debate on Twitter. Franchising is franchising, but partnership programs are partnership programs. So it's like, if an org doesn't get partner program, what does it mean for them? And we're gonna have to see. Obviously, it's again same as Halo. It's obviously pretty bad because a lot of these orgs are fully dropping their teams. I haven't had a chance to read Complexity's statement because they released a huge brick of text. We'll see. That's my big thing. We gotta wait and see who gets invited and who doesn't.
I can't read, so you can have to read it to me.
I can't read.
Well, I can't. Shut up, corn boy.
But speaking of invites, whether they're earned or not, Apex Legends has been kind of in the hot seat this week, obviously coming off of ALGS, and then right into this controversy of Nick Merck's team getting invited to Pro League.
I'm gonna go in hot right here. They would be stupid not to invite Nick Merckx.
Yeah.
I think like this is the common case of people that are almost pro at the game getting upset because some guy got in ahead of them. It's like the Noobsie. You remember when Musty got
Yeah,
RLCS tag because he's sub for NRG.
yeah, but
Yeah,
he's
sure. There are players that are better, but you can't just take away and say he doesn't deserve it. I mean, he brings so much viewership to that, and they in the qualifiers and all the events he's played in, he's done well enough to warrant being able
stuff.
to play
Like
with
he
top
actually did
teams.
stuff with them.
Yeah.
Like
And you'll see it on Twitter. Like Nice Wig was one of the guys that was really vocal about it. He's like, "You're an idiot if you don't think he shouldn't be there. Like, stop whining and get better. Like,
Yeah.
if
and
you're
that's the
upset because you didn't make it in, or like your favorite team didn't make it in, do something about it. Get better. Sorry about it. Like,
Yeah, and so I'm fully on your take there because with Nick Merckx, obviously we all said earlier when we were talking about FaZe, a huge name for FaZe, a huge name in the streaming community, a huge name in Apex community, and I could understand the hate and the anger if Nick Merckx's team were like a bunch of silvers,
yeah,
but they're
like if they
not.
weren't going very far in but like they're going deep in qualifiers. They were like 8 places off the last one for
Yeah, they're
ALGS.
making
Like,
huge runs. They're
Yeah.
all practicing like an actual team. They're playing all
yeah,
the time. It's like, and like you said, Apex will be dumb not to invite them. Yes, it's a little bit of giving them a push, but it's
yeah,
also they
you're gonna
know
bring a
they're
lot of
giving.
eyes.
Yeah, they're giving Nick Merckx a push because they know Nick Merckx is about to give them a shove. Like
Mhm.
the viewership's gonna go up every time Nick Merck's team plays. They're gonna be watching. Nick Merckx is gonna be able to bring watch parties involved. There's gonna be way more social media coverage just because of his name, and you can't sit there and say like it's
He's
bad
bad.
for the scene. It's bad for the
yeah,
competitiveness. Like no, you still have. I don't even know how many teams are in, but X amount of teams that are actually invited because of their ratings, and one tiny piece of the puzzle that is there to make them all look better. Like
yeah.
Mhm.
it's a
Like,
hot take, but it builds
suck it
all
up,
their
Buttercup.
yeah,
The only people that I can say are they are okay to be upset with it. And
yeah,
my number
yep.
wasn't exact on that, but let's stick with it. 8 teams that did better than him. If you are one of those
No,
players on
only
those
I
8 teams,
only think the top one.
only them like can be upset. But even then, they gotta sit back, use their brain for a second, be like, okay, I get it. Like, be frustrated for a couple days, whatever, and then get back in the grind, get in scrims, get in tourneys, and get better.
Yeah,
Like,
I
end of
agree
the
to the
day,
much
suck
more
it up.
extreme. Like I think the only
Yeah,
team that should be pissed
even
is
just that top
the
one
top
team.
one
Yeah,
because
but it's like majority of those people are below Nick Merckx.
yeah, exactly.
They're worse than Nick Merckx at the game.
So yeah, it's such a stupid controversy, and I think yeah, sure, there's a business involved in it, but I think if you can't even see that from an esports fan or a viewer, you're incredibly blind and naive. It's as simple as that. It's a good business decision. It's a great competitive decision. It's a great everything decision. And like, but yeah, so weird controversy there, but it's a good event. I think we're going to see a lot of big things coming out of Apex in the next couple of months. I think the esports skins were the first big hurdle that they needed to join the tiers in. But speaking of esports events, I mean, Noobsie, you wanted to touch on Call of Duty League.
Can't stand Call of Duty Vanguard. Jake, I don't think you really watch any of the games. I love Call of Duty. Call of Duty was the first game that I started like taking serious. I mean, me and my buddies grew up pub stomping. Like we would play in events, we would do game battles. Like that was the first thing that got me hooked on competing within video games was Call of Duty. So I've always loved the Call of Duty tournaments, championships, and then to see CDL, I got excited and then realized it was being run very poorly. But then I think what made it different was nothing else changed but the crowd. They had an in-person crowd at this New York major. And I think that hyped it up times 10. So knowing that the game is garbage and that I don't like any of the branding because all of the shirts are just copy paste of, their colors on a bar and then their name above it. I wish that stuff would change, but I'm so excited for Modern Warfare 2 because I know that game is going to be awesome, just based off of Modern Warfare 1.
Yeah,
So I'm hyped.
you brought up bugs, and I gotta ask. I only really saw it on Twitter, but did you see the thing about 100 Thieves?
What about them?
Jake, you're muted.
You idiot.
This
Corn
guy.
cob.
Was it the ladder bug?
Yeah. So grand finals, and he gets completely screwed over by a bug.
The LA Thieves player did? Because I was
Yeah.
watching that game.
Did you see
Well,
what
they
it was,
won.
Noobsie?
No, they won. So obviously didn't
I
hurt
think
them
they ended
too
up
much.
losing the grand finals.
It was whichever team lost. One of their players.
Oh, the subliners.
It's an animation where when you climb up a ladder
You get
and
stuck.
you get in a fight and you try and swap guns or like scope in or something, it just like throws your hand up.
Yeah. So, like I said, can't stand Vanguard. I think the gameplay is. I think playing the game, it's terrible. The time to kill is off for most guns that you wouldn't expect it. Like for a submachine gun, it's ridiculously fast. Whereas like some of them, we're echoing. I'm echoing somewhere.
I don't hear it.
It's gotta be you then.
Jake, it's you.
What?
It's you. Yeah.
Bring your headphones down on the back.
Jake, how dare you, dude? Corn cob boy.
Is that fine now?
Yeah. But the game is very buggy. It plays weird. I don't like it, but watching this, watching the major, watching the teams, seeing the stories behind it, hearing the fans go crazy when someone pulls off a crazy 1v3 clutch, like it gets me hyped for when Modern Warfare 2 comes out, that is supposed to be a better game, the mechanics are cleaner. I just think it's gonna do really well. So I'm excited.
I just pulled it up because I was really curious because I thought it was 100 Thieves. So it was. Somebody wrote it perfectly here. Call of Duty. 100 Thieves won a major yesterday. This was obviously right after the event. But in one of the maps, a glitch / game bug happened to a 100 Thieves player, and they couldn't kill the opponent because of it. Died, and 100 Thieves lost the map.
Oh yeah, I think that was the one they played Atlanta FaZe. Think the first time.
Okay, yeah, dude, but yeah, it's crazy that we're still in. So I was having this discussion last night, and I will end the podcast on this now because I think it's a really interesting one. It's funny how all these new games come out, and esports keeps growing and new titles get into esports, but no game will ever be fundamentally mechanically sound as CS:GO in the terms I'm talking first person shooters, obviously. Where CS has a lot of problems, but nothing when it comes to core gameplay. Whereas like bugs like that and stuff cannot happen in esports. Like that's the problem with all these like top tier AAA games. They come out, there's bugs that, maybe it's 1 in a million the chance of it happening. But the fact these bugs exist is crazy to me.
Especially since the
a ladder
game's been out since
it's almost a whole year.
November of last year.
Whole year almost, because they're about to release the next one in a month or so, 2 months.
And there's somebody that tweeted about it earlier in the year because it's happening, but it's
that ladder glitch has happened. That happened in Cold War too, but it's just like
what are we game testing?
Yeah, well, and you also got a game test. Why are they not game testing with these pros? Because again, watching these guys, normal players do not move as fast as these players move. So they're gonna do reactions of an animation that is not gonna be as quick as a casual player. So they need it, because I remember back with Ghosts, there was a couple of games back to back where not only did they play test with beta testers or whatever, but they brought pros in and like did scrims and had them like try to break the game in a server to report bugs and stuff. So
see, I think that's what they do need to do. I think the general public's problem with it is it's a dangerous balance when like pros versus like casual players like play test the game.
Mhm.
Because if pros are the like they have to have a healthy balance. You know, pros testing it during a certain period of time after the original game testers, and the game testers get their first hands on it. Because if they only let pros test it, there's going to be this really awkward esports heavy balance, which we see in like every new game that comes out wants to try and be the next esport. And all these games like balance towards competitive play. And that's what we saw a lot of people complaining about in Valorant towards the beginning. A lot of things were being nerfed in the eyes of esports, and they were like, well, where does it go in, you know, in just comp and casual play? Which I agree, but I think in games like Valorant, it's always supposed to be esports heavy. But I don't know. We'll see. I think there's a lot of excitement for the new COD. I mean, we'll see. I think that'll be the first bug on their checklist because of 100 Thieves. But
Well, yeah. I mean, if you end up losing the map, like they came back. And I think I know what game you're talking about because they came back and won that series, and then went on and won in the finals too. But it's like that's a make or break type of bug. Like in
yep,
Search and Destroy, that could be the end of your series, not getting that kill. So
yeah.
it's like,
I mean, it ended the map, so it's like,
yeah,
luckily it wasn't the map to end at all.
but
But yeah,
it could have been. That could have been the one thing that screwed you up. End of the day, I love Call of Duty. There's a special place in my heart for Call of Duty because I grew up playing that game. So I'm super excited for Modern Warfare 2 and to see what CDL does now that crowds are. I think that's the biggest thing is crowds were able to be back. They had more time to kind of talk about the stories of some of the players that had been around, what moves had happened, because it felt like it was the first event in a way. There were still teams qualifying for Call of Duty championships, the world or the finals essentially. But it was like some of the fans didn't even know that Subliners was put on the event and didn't make champs. They had to make this ridiculous. They had to get to the finals to have a shot at making the championships
yeah.
for coming up in, I think, in LA or whatever. But it's like it gets me excited for Modern Warfare 2 because I remember playing Modern Warfare 1 and the game was polished. The movement was clean. So I'm excited to have fans. I'm excited to have this game. I just wish they would change the branding because it's so terrible. I hate it so much. As someone who loves jerseys, have a ton of jerseys behind me from sports or whatever. I love jerseys, but I'm not buying an $80 jersey that just has a red and black bar with Atlanta FaZe on it. Like that's so lame. Give me something cool.
Well, you don't like simple and effective?
No, because it's just like
I know.
there's a time and place
sucks.
for there's a time and place for jerseys like that. Like if you have every team has their main jersey, their blank white away jersey, and then an alternate. It's how sports works. It's how esports works. So it's just I don't know. That's the only thing I really don't like about it. Is that one, it costs a shit ton of money to get involved, and two, the branding is terrible.
You know what else I don't like though?
Long podcasts.
No, the fact that we're gonna have to end the podcast. I wish we could keep it going, but we are gonna have to call it because we're hitting our time limit for the week.
Daddy Noobsie got to go to sleep, bro.
Yeah, I'm hitting the. Actually, I'm not hitting the sheets. I'm going to work, but
I've got heavy eyes.
But yeah, we're gonna call it there. And a huge thank you to our sponsors, Raven, React, Compete, Guru, Shakepay, and Zoe. And from all of us, thank you guys for watching. And we will be back next Tuesday. We don't know if it's gonna be live. We got some conflicting schedules, but we'll try. We'll see what's gonna happen. If not, it'll be back to recorded, and we'll talk about it in the next episode when and if there's gonna be a live episode. So yeah, you guys got any closing words, or are we just peacing out?
Nah, man. I want us to do a Q&A at some point. So if anybody has questions, I mean,
yeah, that's a good one actually. Yeah, if you have any questions,
we need to throw a tweet out for that.
Yeah, we'll throw out a tweet, and we'll also, if you have any questions, put them in the description of this video or any videos for that matter under the After Office Hours podcast. and we'll see them. I go through the comments all the time, so any comments, leave them there, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Later.